Hi and welcome back. And if you're new, my name is Matt and we are a family from Fridley, Minnesota. We are part-time RVers and we do a lot of different things on this channel. One of them is I created a playlist called Is It Worth It to Rent Out Your RV? Basically, we own two travel trailers. We have a 2018 Heartland Mallard M185 and a 2020 Grand Design 2400 BH. We rent them both through RV Share and Outdoorsy. And I do this little video series where I show you, what's working for us. What are some new and different things we're doing month to month? What are some of the problems we're having? I talk about new gear that we get for our rigs. And then I kind of put myself out there and I actually share with you how much money we're making. Now I try to do these videos every month. This has been kind of a crazy year, so I'm a little bit behind. Got a lot to talk about. But I'm going to kind of just hit the highlights, otherwise this would be like an hour-long video. All right, the first new thing that we did this year is we established an LLC through the state of Minnesota. It's still a work in progress because it's my understanding, and if there's an expert out there that can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it's my understanding that to be fully protected under an LLC, number one, you got to be registered through the state. And then as far as RV rentals go, you need to do all three things. You need to have the title of your RV in the LLC name. Obviously your checking and your banking accounts need to be under the same name. And also your loan for the RV needs to be under the LLC. So we don't have all that lined up yet, but we are in the process to, just so we can be further protected. Second thing that we're doing this year that's new, I started a website. drivenorthrv.com. Check it out. And I did that for a couple different reasons. Number one, I kind of wanted just one place for a current or a future potential renter to go to that have all our information there. A place where we can talk about who we are, what we do. There's links to Outdoorsy and RV Share, so you could get right into the calendar and rent right through the website. There's a contact form, so you could contact us directly if you have questions, because RV Share and Outdoorsy kind of make it difficult sometimes to share contact information. They'll block out email addresses, they'll block out phone numbers. So this website's kind of nice because you can just go right through there to get a hold of us. And it's also a place where I'm putting together how-to videos. Obviously, if you've seen my last couple of videos in this series, you'll know that I have an operational and a setup video for each camper. Those videos are on the website, but also I've been putting together more how-to videos. So, as a renter prepares to go out, they can go to the website and view all these, or when they're out and about and they have a question or forget something, they can just go right to the website and watch these videos. Another reason I put together the website is to promote and grow my YouTube channel. So I mentioned in a previous video that I put Drive North RV rentals right on Google Maps, just using my location, my house as a location. And I've noticed that give or take, depends what month, but there can be up to 3,000 people that will actually click on that link through Google Maps. And you can add a website to that link. So my hope is people will go, Google Maps, they'll click on it, go right to the website, they can get their questions answered about the RV stuff, but then possibly become followers of the YouTube channel. And I think it must be working because my channel has been growing. I have over 4,000 subscribers, and still amazes me that many people would want to follow what I do. I still feel like we're kind of on the amateur level, but for all those of you who have subscribed, thank you. All right, so that's our website. Another new thing we're doing this year, we have GPS trackers on both our campers. We're using Track 4. The devices themselves are not very expensive, and then you can pick a monthly or yearly plan depending on what kind of services you want. We have a kind of a middle of the road plan where the GPS tracker will ping every 10 minutes while it's on the road, and then once it's stationary, it will ping every 24 hours. And we did this for a couple different reasons. Number one, if our property was ever stolen, we'd have a way to track it down. Number two, kind of a liability thing for if there ever was an accident. We ask our renters to stay below 65 miles per hour. if there was an accident because they were driving too fast and maybe they blame our equipment, we would be able to go in and look and see what their speeds were. If we got a history of them doing 78 miles per hour and then they flip the camper over, we can show that it was possibly the driving and not us. But the thing we use it for the most is for arrival times. In the past, it seems like people very rarely return their campers or return our campers when they say they're going to. And, I get it. It's hard. You're camping and it's hard to get back home on a very specific time, especially when you got to clean and you got to empty the tanks. You don't know how long that's going to be. So in the past, somebody would say we're going to be there at 6 o'clock. Well, it's 6:45 and we're still waiting. With the GPS trackers, I actually set up a geofence. So I basically set up like a 10 or 15 mile square around my house. And then as soon as the RV enters that zone, I get alerted on my phone and I know, okay, now a renter truly is 10 minutes away. So I don't have to waste time just sitting around waiting for them to come. Okay, so that's the GPS trackers. And people ask a lot, would you tell people that you have them? Number one, the rental paperwork throughout Outdoorsy and RV Share, it is in the paperwork that devices may be on the campers. And while I'm not trying to hide the fact that we have them, I guess I don't come out and tell people that I do. It's been brought up once or twice in conversation, and I guess people haven't really worried about it. As far as the process, we're keeping the departure process pretty similar to last year. Outdoorsy and RV Share have made some changes. They've gotten away from a lot of paperwork that we were doing. Before, Outdoorsy had like 14 pages of paperwork that they would have to sign. They'd have to sign the page of every one before they went out. That's all done electronically now. We send them out the contract, they approve it online. Same with RV Share. And then when they come out, with RV Share, it's 100% electronic. There's no paperwork whatsoever. Outdoorsy, there's still a handoff packet that we do. It's only a couple pages, and they just sign one page at the end. Now, kind of a difference we've noticed between Outdoorsy and RV Share this year when it comes to documenting damage. RV Share, you just take pictures of whatever potential damage is on your rig, or lack of damage on your rig before the departure goes out. And then, if they came back with damage, you'd take pictures of what was there now, and that's how you would go forward with your damage claim. So really, we don't bring up anything, and the renters don't bring up anything when they leave, and the process usually goes pretty smooth. Every once in a while, somebody might point out, well, what about this? But with Outdoorsy, because you have that form and you are literally going over, each thing that is there prior, we've noticed people pick up on that, and then they start to point out every little thing. There's this little smudge here, there's a little half-inch, scratch there. So because you're pointing it out in advance, I think people become a little more paranoid. I don't know which process is better. We'll kind of keep an eye on it, but there is a difference there. As far as gear, I love my RV gadgets. My wife teases that I am on a mission to buy every RV gadget known to man, and some are fun, some are novelty things that I get. My last video I talked about this little water flow meter I got. That's just a non-necessity, but some of the things I got are saving potential headaches down the road. Just little things like last year we had a couple people show up, and even though we tell them you need a 2-inch receiver on your truck, we had a couple people show up with Super Duties. They thought they had a 2-inch receiver, but really they had a 2.5-inch receiver, and then we had to send them out to go get a sleeve or something. Well, this year I just bought one, just to save that potential headache down the road. Some things I buy is to help just tidy up storage. I'm trying to keep the sewer stuff out of the storage compartments and like off the back of the camper. We do have sewer hoses in the bumper, but I also like to have 2 sewer hoses for each camper, because we have run into sites where the outlet is so far from the RV port that one hose isn't long enough. So I bought a exterior storage compartment. You can mount them underneath the camper. On the Mallard, I actually have it mounted on the back bumper. So just things like that to help tidy up, storage solutions. I can't go over every little thing I bought, but I do have a link in the description to my Amazon store. I'm going to try to put everything that we have in there so you can click on that to get some ideas. And if you did buy something through that link, we would get a little cut of that. That would be appreciated. As far as issues, so far 2021 has not been bad. We haven't had anything major, kind of the same old issues that we always have, not everybody brings the camper back really clean. I think the majority of people do, but it still seems like a lot of people just are not emptying the sewer tanks properly. And this year we're being a little more strict on that policy. We do charge $40 for cleaning and $30 to go empty the tanks. And we're being a little more strict this year with charging those fees. I noticed this year, I think there's a lot more newbies out there camping. People are always going to have some questions going into the rental that are handled, through text. But this year, it seems like a lot of people are wanting phone calls. We're having a lot of lengthy conversations with people over the phone, even prior to booking, which is okay. I'd rather have those conversations, a week or two before the rental than once they get here and have the handoff be a 2-hour process. But I found that interesting this year, a lot more phone conversations prior to the rental. We haven't had any real damage to our rigs this year. We haven't had to file any insurance claims. I don't even think we've dipped into anybody's security deposit, really. The only damage that we had a renter that took our Mallard to Florida for actually a couple weeks. And while he was down there, he pinched the power cord, the cord that runs from the RV to the truck. And he had it temporarily fixed when he was in Florida, spliced together, and it worked for him down there. It worked for him all the way back up here. When he got here, I tested it, drove around with it. It was working. And I had a new cord that I was going to get installed. I just I didn't make the time to get it fixed before the next rental. And, we had a renter take it out. And of course, halfway through their rental, the power cord failed. And we had to have them take it into a shop in the town that they were at. And kind of a long story short, I actually don't even think it failed. I think it just shorted out for 1 second, but because it was actually working before it went back into the shop. But regardless, I said, let's just get it taken care of while you're out there. Peace of mind for everybody. And of course, the shop, they recommended we get a new junction box. And I wasn't out there to have them point out why they thought that. And I just wanted it taken care of and done right. So I just said, do what you got to do. And long story short, the cost of the repair ended up washing out our profit for that whole trip. But, I guess it is what it is, kind of a learning experience that if you have a problem, take care of it immediately. Even if I had to take a half day off of work, I probably should have done that, resolved it so you don't have lingering issues when somebody has your rig on the road. It took a couple hours out of their day, which we felt bad for. But to make up for it, we actually gave them an extra night for free. So in the end, they were happy. We got the problem fixed. It worked out, but kind of a lesson learned. All right, so kind of a summary of the things we've been doing new, different, some issues that we've had, gear that we've bought, and damages. But let's go into now. I want to share with you what our calendar has looked like and what it's looking like in the future. Oh, and that's another new thing I'm doing this year that's different. Last year, I was kind of using the online calendars that Outdoorsy and RV Share provided, and then we'd have a paper calendar that we'd write stuff down in as well. This year, I'm just putting everything right into my Outlook calendar, and I have everything color-coded for each rig and what company it's being rented through, and that seems to be a nice, easy visual to keep track of what's going on. All right, so we'll look at the calendars, and then I'm going to also share with you how much money we're making. I got a spreadsheet that we can look at. So let's go take a look at those things. All right, I'm not going to go back and show you every month from the start of the year. Otherwise, just to add that in Minnesota, the rental season is pretty strong from May through September. We did have some rentals starting in March. I kept the Mallard on the market through the winter. The Imagine we did not, because number one, it was in the shop and there was a wait on some parts, and we were also going on our own long winter trip. But we had one good rental in March for the Mallard. We had one customer for the Imagine. April was slim pickings. May was okay, and then June is when things started to pick up. All right, so this is how my calendar looks. Basically, I color coded it. So every blue insert in here is the Mallard. So I'll put Mallard and then the company it's with, RV Share, and then the name of the renter. The orange is all the Grand Design rentals. Again, Imagine, Grand Design Imagine, and then the company it was with, and then the name of the renter. And then if we use the campers ourselves, I'll put in an entry, highlight it as green. So as you can see, June was a good month for us. There were only a couple days where the campers were both home at the same time. Otherwise, they were out being rented. And almost every single weekend, both campers were out. So June was a solid month. Let's go look at July. July was a solid month too, and I started doing something in addition in July. I would actually add the amount that we're taking in from each rental to kind of give you a little snapshot of what's coming in for the month. Again, every weekend, both campers out. Here we took the Mallard out on our own trip, but otherwise, even during the week, these campers were being used. So in July, we only had 2 days where both campers were not being rented out. And sometimes those are good days. It's nice to have a camper home and just be able to get some of those little things done on it that sometimes you struggle to find time for. So I want to show you this one thing here on the 27th. We try to avoid this here. Having a rental go out the same time the camper comes back or the same day it comes back. We have it set up in the system where if a camper's coming back Sunday, it cannot be rented out until a Monday. Now we found with RV shares, for whatever reason, sometimes there's a glitch in the system and it still allows people to book the same day. And that happened here. Now, we did have some advanced communication with both renters to make sure this would work. Usually we're very flexible on when somebody can take the camper out. Sometimes they'll come out early in the morning. We did have to tell Mike here that, it might be later in the afternoon because it's coming back that same day. Typically, we try to avoid that. It happened here. All right, August is looking like it's going to be another solid month too. Again, every single weekend, both campers are going out. This trip here is actually, we're taking our Imagine out, and my twin brother is going to come along and use our Mallard. So both campers will be off the market. But that brings us up to kind of a challenging situation here on the 15th. We're bringing both campers back, and they're both going out the same day. Good thing is we're going to be using our rig, so we can make sure that they're nice and clean. The tanks will be emptied, and it shouldn't be a lot of work to turn them around for the next renters. And again, each camper color coded, and the company they're with, and the dollar amount that we're bringing in. So that's what our calendars look like. Let's go look at our spreadsheet, and I'll show you some of the revenue we're making. All right, taking a look at our spreadsheet here, I'll show you how it's laid out. Column A is obviously the months of the year, and then I have each RV in here twice, once with each company to show you what company is bringing in the money. So Mallard with RV Share, Mallard with Outdoorsy, the Grand Design Imagine through RV Share, and the Imagine through Outdoorsy. Gross income is all the money we brought in after RV Share and Outdoorsy take their cut. This is combined payments and insurance for each rig. And expenses, I'm doing something a little different this year. For the Mallard, any and all money we spend on that is put in here. The Grand Design, since we use it as our personal rig, I'm trying to put in things that are only related to the rentals. So if we do an upgrade, like get a different rug or a new camping chair, I'm not putting that in this column. Included in this column would be cost of our LLC and establishing our website and that kind of thing. So net income is obviously gross minus payments, insurance, and expenses. Once again, I didn't have the Imagine rented out in January or February. Our Mallard was available, but nobody took it out those months. But getting into March, we did have the Mallard go out with our V-Share, brought in $21.06. Nothing through Outdoorsy. The Imagine had nothing through our V-Share, but it did have a renter for Outdoorsy that brought in $11.91. So our gross was $32.97 in March. After payments, insurance, expenses, our net was $2,010. So we did have some bigger expenses this year. We upgraded tires on the Grand Design. We had
the bearings serviced. We bought a second brake controller that was like $250, so a little more expenses this year than last. Okay, going into April, not much happening in April. We had one rental through our RV Share with the Mallard, and that's about it. So, you know, technically, if you went month by month, after payments, insurance, expenses, we technically lost $294. Okay, so May was solid. RV Share with the Mallard brought in a little over $1,000. Nothing through Outdoorsy. The Imagine brought in $1,500 with RV Share, but nothing through Outdoorsy. And our gross was $25.24. Our net for May was $12.20. June, solid month. Let's talk about this number here. This column, which is untitled. This is renters that we allowed to take our camper out off platform. I've mentioned this in previous videos. I might talk more about it in a future one, but basically previous renters that went above and beyond, that we trust, that took care of our campers, we will allow to rent off platform to save. We get more money without the fees. They pay less. They still insure it on their own. But that brought in $1,600, and that was with the Mallard off platform. On our RV Share, we brought in $732, nothing through Outdoorsy. Imagine brought in $614 through our RV Share and $958 through Outdoorsy, meaning our gross was $39.04 after expenses, payments, insurance. Our net was $34.37. Little side note, it's been an interesting year, as the first half of our year, almost everything was done through our RV Share. Now looking forward, the second half of our year, things are leaning more towards Outdoorsy. I have no idea why that is, but it's kind of interesting. So let's go look at some of the running tallies for the year. Going down gross income here. This is how much we brought in so far through the year. Again, after Outdoorsy and RV Share take their cuts, we brought in over $10,000. We've had a little over $2,000 in payments and insurance, and our expenses are at $26.84, meaning our net profit so far for the year is $51.07. And yeah, that's a little above what I thought we would be at this point of the year. 2021 has been a good year so far. I hope it continues. And another side note, at the end of the month here, we're going to have enough to pay off our Mallards, so this column is going to go down, and hopefully some of these other numbers will go up. So like I said, 2021's been a good year. I hope it continues well. Stay tuned. I'll get another one of these videos out. I'm already working on it for a July update. I'm going to talk about a little repair that we had to do, some maintenance, and then some other stories to talk about. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.